Qual a melhor câmera em um smartphone? Muitos se valem do ranking de ExoMark para responder a esta pergunta, mas a realidade é que algumas vezes os resultados são controversos e vimos isso muitas vezes nos comparativos de câmeras que realizamos aqui no Tudo Celular e com a sua ajuda, votando nas melhores capturas. Pois bem, aproveitando que estivemos na MWC 19 em Barcelona, entrevistamos o Nicolas Tuchard, responsável pelo marketing da empresa, buscando entender melhor como esse ranking é formado e se é confiável, abordando temas como modo noturno, câmera de selfies em um ranking separado, sistema antifraude, dentre outros. Confira logo a seguir.
It was formed many years ago. We started testing cameras in 2008 and then tested lens, and now we're testing smartphones, providing readers on the web with reviews of cameras, lenses and smartphones, and we are also providing a score which is relevant of the image quality of the camera or smartphone which is being published. And myself, I am Nicolas Tuchard. I've been in this company for many years and I'm in charge of the marketing.
Vocês pensam em adicionar o critério de modo noturno na avaliação das câmeras de smartphones, considerando que esse modo está sendo implementado nos principais smartphones pelas principais marcas no mercado atualmente?
In the past, we've done the same with HDR or zoom and bokeh. Yeah. Before it was really common. We will not really report any scoring. Once it has become common, obviously we've integrated it into our scoring system. Yeah. So it's going to be the same with night mode. So it means we are already working on the tools to test it. We already have the methods, the protocol, everything is in place. And when it becomes really standard, then we will update our scoring with the night mode score.
It's fair.
Yeah. Okay. It's pretty simple. So we always work in advance, okay, with what's coming. So there is night mode, there is wide angle, and there may be other features coming, and we prepare the tools, solutions, protocols, and when it's ready, we just publish.
Considerando que a câmera frontal é muito utilizada pelos usuários para fazer selfies, principalmente nos dias atuais, com Instagram, etc., por que demorou-se tanto tempo para incluir esse ranking no de ExoMark e por que ele não foi unificado com o ranking das câmeras traseiras? Por que está separado? Já que nós fizemos uma simulação e notamos que se você unir as duas pontuações, você tem um ranking totalmente diferente.
Good question. First thing, it took us a while to come up with the protocol for selfie, and we've been thinking about it before putting it live. We had the option to say let's use the same protocol, okay? But when you look at the way these front cameras are used, they're not used the same way as the back camera. Front camera are used for selfie, are used for groupie, are used for video calls or different use cases. The hardware is not the same as well. So in the front camera, typically you have one, maybe two modules. Now you start seeing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not the same use cases, it's not the same use, and it's not the same technology. So we could not come up with the same protocol. Then we had to design a different protocol, and different protocol mean different scores, and you cannot compare. That's basically the reason why it took longer. Obviously, main camera was most used. Selfie started like a goodies, but then we saw a lot of enthusiasts with consumers, mostly, with selfie use. So we said, okay, it becomes common, it becomes pretty good quality, which was not the case before. Before, when it was crap, why bothering measuring quality if not good? But now it's pretty good. So then we started this, but it takes us. I won't tell you exactly how long, but it's a long time to come up with a new protocol. So we could not do it, like snapping fingers. That's why it was delayed versus the main camera. Now you asking the question whether we can combine? Yeah. Well, again, it's different use case, different technology. Why combining? Because you may want to know, you may want to have a camera for selfie only, or you may want to have a smartphone. You may want to have a smartphone for, standard photos only. So it's users, so our readers who can make their own choice by selecting the scoring which is best for their habits, for their use.
Chegou até nós que existem duas maneiras de uma empresa contratar a consultoria do ExoMark sendo uma premium em que ele pagaria um valor maior para ter essa análise publicada de uma maneira especial, e a outra, se ele não gostar, ele evitaria esse pagamento, talvez assim, de certa forma, influenciando, não sei, na forma como seria publicado esse conteúdo, já que no Premium um conteúdo extra é adicionado, e enquanto quando a empresa não aprecia essa avaliação, ela deixaria então de ter esse interesse pela publicação na página de ExoMark.
Okay. First, there is no premium review or sub-premium review or whatever. It's just the same. There is no difference again on the way we do the test, the way we do the scoring, and the way we publish. The publication, the scoring, we are independent, we decide on our own, and no one can interfere. Whether we work with a client or not, then does not change the way we test, okay? And it's very important also to understand that our clients do not pay for publication. It's free. Publication per se is free. There is no fees, nothing, okay? In some case, we've tested a device and the firmware is not finished. So we don't have the finished one when we test. So then we can't publish because it's not something which goes out. So then we have to wait. Either it comes from the manufacturer or it comes because we buy the device. So sometimes it's delayed because of this problem. But there is no, we are making the point that we are independent. If you come to, we have many clients, basically all the biggest brands are clients, okay, for smartphone, but also for cameras. You know, I used to work with Japanese camera makers for a long time. So we work with Korean, Taiwanese, Chinese, US, European, and so forth. We even have clients in Turkey and in other, even in France. You know, it's a small country, not so many smartphone brands. We have customers there. So yeah, the key thing is this software update. So again, sometimes we have delay because we need to have the software. The kind of service we offer, and then obviously we charge our customer for that, is we help them getting better products. That's all. That's our focus. And we can help them at different stage in the design phase. We can help them very early on. So sometimes we have newcomers in the smartphone business who say, okay, I like to commercialize a new device. I like to get this kind of quality level. I'm thinking of, getting a whatever resolution sensor, multi-modules with bokeh, with zoom, so we can help designing, choosing the right components, and also we can help them in actually optimizing, so co-optimizing the software with the hardware, and then doing the tuning. So we can help all along. If we were not transparent, independent, I don't think this model would have run for very long. So we have to stick to our rules, and sometimes it's not easy, okay, because they're not happy. All right, but that's life, and I think it's the vicious circle we put in place boosts the quality of smartphone, basically. Okay, and if you look at the progress made in the past years, I mean, it's really amazing. I started working on mobile imaging in 1999, so that's 20 years. And at the beginning, you have crappy little QSIF image, you see nothing. And today you have photos which is about the same quality as what you get with a DSC. So a lot of progress, and we know there is still a lot of progression.
Qual o critério exatamente utilizado pelo ExoMark para avaliar as câmeras, considerando que em algumas análises nós vemos menos fotos do que outras, como foi o caso do Xiaomi Mi Mix 3? E se há alguma forma de evitar que as empresas burlem esses critérios que vocês utilizam, utilizando software ou algum outro meio para conseguir notas mais altas?
What's the process of publication? Well, basically, we do the evaluation always the same way. Okay, there is no difference. whether you're talking about Xiaomi, Huawei, Google, whatever. We have one single protocol for testing, which we apply across the board. So there is no differences. It may be a bit different on the website in terms of what you see in the review, but I come to that. It's a different question. First thing is how we test. So again, always the same. We have a pretty thorough and strict protocol. In other words, we test, colors, exposure, stabilization, video, photo, bokeh, zoom, always the same. We use about 1,500 photos and more than 2 hours of video that we analyze. We either analyze with software or analyze with our image scientists. We look at image and score. Okay. And again, it's the same for everyone. No question. Okay. No discussions. And we've done the same with cameras and lenses before. Now, so this gives you the score. Okay. So this gives you the substance of what we're going to publish. Now, in terms of publication, because of the schedule, because sometimes we have only a few days to write the review, sometimes we have to write the review overnight almost. Okay, we get the scoring, we get all the materials, but we don't have a lot of time. And then we want to publish in English and in Chinese. We have two versions of the website. Maybe one day in Portuguese. But when we are, really worldwide. So, so really, the content, the length, the images which are on the websites are independent from the scoring. We publish a review as fast as we can, and sometimes we can do lengthy reviews. Sometimes we can do only very short ones. You talk about the Xiaomi Mi 3. Maybe it was shorter, but it was the same for the S10 Plus when we launched it because we didn't have the time. We almost had to work with the 2 reviews in 2 days and do the translation. So, it's just a matter of schedule of publication. But there is a thing we ask them to. We ask our clients to confirm that the firmware that we test is the one which goes to customer. So then we ask them when we do the final test, before it goes to the review, we ask them, okay, is this the right software that is going to go to customers? They said yes or no. But if they say no, we don't publish. But if they say yes, we have another conditions is that we may go on the market, buy the thing, remeasure and retest, republish if it's not the case. Okay, so we have, and we actually buy them all. So we run our test, we make sure that's the right software, we publish, but still we buy goods from the store and do a sanity check. And if there are differences, phone calls and maybe problems. But we never had so far because they know our policy. So they are very careful.
Nicolas, muito obrigado. Sucesso aí em sua empresa. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
E então, o que você achou das respostas do Nicolas? Concorda com os pontos abordados ou mais do que isso? Concorda com as notas que estão no ranking atualmente? Inclusive, no link que está aí na descrição, você confere as simulações que realizamos ao unificar as notas das câmeras traseiras com as notas das selfies, além da entrevista em texto. Eu sou Wesley Moraes para o Tudo Celular e vou ficando por aqui. Nos vemos nos próximos vídeos, um abraço e até lá!